So think blockchain is just for crypto bros. Think again. Teen in 2025. You re-gone? Nah. Be absolutely blown away by just how much of your life blockchain is secretly running right now, and you don't even know it. I know this is not new. We've been hearing about blockchain for years, but this is different. Today, we're talking about how blockchain is impacting your everyday life and will continue to change things in ways you would uneven notice. Welcome to my channel, The Know, one place for crypto education. And here, we explain topics of the cryptocurrency world using analogies, stories, and examples so that you can easily understand them. In this video, we're going to explain how blockchain is secretly running your life right now. Now, before we get into how blockchain is affecting your life, we first have to cover what blockchain is real quick. Okay, so make sure you watch this section and then skip to the next chapter using the timestamps below. And in our opinion, the best way to describe blockchain is a decentralized, secure way of recording and verifying data. A little bit more specific than that, blockchain is a transparent, unchangeable, distributed ledger. That means any data entered onto the network must be validated by multiple participants before it can be added to the actual blockchain. Once something is added to the blockchain, it can never be taken away or changed. But it's also important to note that blockchain isn't only about crypto. Sure, Bitcoin and Ethereum use blockchains, but the general public doesn't need to care about those. The important thing to remember is that blockchain allows you to have trust without middlemen. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into how blockchain is affecting your life, because, spoiler alert, it's a lot. Starting with number 1, digital identity and logins. There's actually a lot of companies these days that are allowing users to log in using their blockchain wallet instead of a regular Google or Facebook login. For example, there's a service called Sign-in with Ethereum, which allows any app to integrate blockchain-based identity verification. Or another example is Civic, a platform that creates a single global identity on the blockchain that can be used across multiple sites. This is super important because all your personal information is usually stored in one central database, meaning one company has control over all of your data and is responsible for keeping it secure. If a hacker were to target this company, all of your data could be stolen. While if you used a blockchain-based identity, your data would be secured by the entire blockchain network. Now, currently, these are just 2 of many examples, but as time goes on, more and more apps will be integrating blockchain-based logins, meaning in the future, you could have one blockchain identity that you use to log into every site. And that it is important to keep up to date on the latest trends, because sooner or later, you'll want to start protecting your data. Next up, payments and banking. Now, you might not know this, but there are a few payment apps out there that are using blockchain to help lower transaction fees and increase the speed of settlement. Okay, an example of this is a payment app. And although they don't mention anything about blockchain on their main website, their chief technology officer did mention that they were using blockchain tech in an interview. He stated, "We've got a bunch of stuff under the hood that nobody sees. It's very much in production and being used all day, every day. It's basically the rails that our money moves on." Another example of this is a finance app. They are a fintech app that is trying to bring traditional banking services to people who don't have bank accounts. Their app allows users to hold stablecoins like USDT, which is a blockchain-based version of the US dollar. So you can see these apps are using blockchain to try and make financial services faster and cheaper. And especially for cross-border payments, it can save lots of money and time. And as time goes on, more and more payment apps will begin to use blockchain. However, it's unlikely they'll tell their customers they're using it because, like we said before, the average person doesn't really need to know how it works. They just want to know that it's cheap and fast. Next up is retail and supply chain. So we live in a global economy and almost everything we buy comes from somewhere else. So that makes tracking where things come from difficult, but blockchain actually helps with this. Let me give you an example. A coffee shop franchise uses IBM Food Trust, a blockchain-based system to track the journey of its coffee beans. Using this, the coffee shop can verify the quality and safety of the beans and ensure they're getting exactly what they ordered. Same goes for fashion companies and even pharmaceutical companies. Being able to track products through the supply chain gives companies the ability to recall products quicker, reduce counterfeits, and overall give consumers more trust in their products. As a consumer, you might not notice this now, but in the future, it's going to be more and more retail locations that allow you to scan a QR code and see the full history of the products. Alright, next up is gaming. If you're a gamer, you've probably heard about NFTs or non-fungible tokens. Most games now allow you to buy these NFTs and integrate them into the game. Now, these might not seem like a big deal, but when you realize that these are just ERC-721 tokens on the Ethereum blockchain, you start to realize how big this is. An NFT is a way to represent ownership of a digital item, whether that's a piece of art, a video, even land in a virtual world like Decentraland. These items are all stored on the blockchain, meaning you can verify that you own it. And in the future, games will allow you to take these items outside of the game, meaning you could sell your in-game items for real money. Now, it's unlikely that mainstream gamers will realize this now, but as time goes on, more and more games will include blockchain assets, and the average gamer will need to understand what they were using. Next up, digital certificates and documents. One of the major issues with paper certificates and documents is that they can be forged. But if we store these certificates and documents on the blockchain, they cannot be faked. Colleges and universities are beginning to offer degrees and diplomas on the blockchain, meaning students can prove that they graduated without any risk of forgery. Employers are also doing the same thing by putting employee credentials on the blockchain, meaning a background check becomes easier. And although you might not notice this now, as time goes on, more and more documents will be issued on the blockchain, making it easier for employers and educational institutions to verify your information. And last but not least, AI plus blockchain. Did you know that most AI companies train their AI models using public datasets? Well, some of these datasets are unfiltered and untrustworthy, meaning there's a need for better provenance tracking. Enter blockchain. By storing the provenance data on the blockchain, AI developers can track exactly where their training data came from, ensuring the data is both relevant and trustworthy. In the future, we're likely going to see more AI companies start to use blockchain to track the origins of their data, especially considering that large language models like ChatGPT have become extremely popular. Now that we've covered all the ways blockchain is affecting your life, you're probably wondering why you haven't noticed it yet, and that's a great question. And there are two reasons. Number one is that blockchain is simply becoming infrastructure like the internet or electricity. It's just there, empowering everything in the background. You don't need to know how the electrical grid works to flip on a light switch. You just know that when you flip it, the lights turn on. It's the same way with blockchain. The average person doesn't need to know how it works, just that it does. Reason no. 2 is that blockchain is becoming invisible. As time goes on, blockchain is going to be integrated into existing apps and platforms. So for example, a social media app might start storing user posts on the blockchain to prevent censorship. But they don't want to scare off users by telling them that they're using blockchain. They want to keep it simple and just say that they're upgrading their platform. That's why in the future, blockchain will be everywhere, but you won't notice it. Now, here's a couple things that you can expect to see in the future. First, driver's licenses, health records, and even voting systems are going to start going on the blockchain. Second, more and more mobile apps are going to begin using blockchain. However, they won't brand it as crypto or blockchain, so just make it seem like a normal feature. Third, banks will start to use blockchain but they'll probably brand it as enterprise blockchain or distributed ledger technology. And the point is that blockchain is simply going to become part of our lives. So if you don't understand it now, it's okay, but you should definitely start learning because, as we mentioned before, you're already using it. As we end this video, we want to remind you that you don't have to be a tech genius to benefit from blockchain. In fact, you're already benefiting from it and you don't even realize it. So please, like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.